Hey y'all, it's Shiante, and I'm here to drop a word. I am so excited because this weekend was absolutely amazing. I'm sure a lot of you all saw that James and I went to a couples escape this weekend. And I know I posted a lot about the prom and all of that, but what I failed to also post was that it was, I guess I can't say conference, but it was a time to reflect and just challenge ourselves to be a better version of ourselves. So I just want to be really honest with you guys right now and say that marriage is hard. But before I even start with that, let me just say that marriage is work. I can remember when we first got married, we eloped. And a lot of you all, look at elope in different ways. But when I say we elope like nobody knew about it. We only had two people there that we had to have there to witness the exchange of our vows at the courthouse. And so that in itself was kind of difficult for our families because we did it without them knowing anything. And so when I decided to tell my mom, she decided to throw us a reception to celebrate. So that brought all of our friends and our family together. And I can remember one thing that one of our dear friends and closest friends, still to this day, Corey Gully, said when he had to speak. He said that marriage is work. And, at that time, being very young, I truly did not understand what he meant. But as the old people say, you understand it better by and by. And I could truly tell y'all, like, look, I'm understanding that marriage is work by and by. And a lot of you all have asked me, you're a transformation coach, like, what are you doing? Who are you helping? Who are you transforming? And it became very clear to me this weekend that my focus area will be in helping people transform their marriages, helping people who want to be married to understand the concept behind marriage, and also work with people in redefining and reestablishing what marriage looks like for them. So, transformation, not just a general transformation coach, but actually specializing in marriages. I'm here to help normalize marriage because I think so many times people are beginning to stray away from the concept of marriage. And I think it's because it is hard, right? I mean, think about it. When you have to sign up for like calculus or something like that in school, it's hard, and a lot of people drop it because hard is not something that we like to normally subscribe to. So marriage is no different, okay? I just want you all to understand that marriage takes work, and it takes your willingness to put in that work. So back to what I was saying earlier about going to the couples escape this weekend. That was James and I putting in work. And if I'm honest with you all, James and I have been married for almost 15 years. But that doesn't mean that we had the tools that we needed to be married and living out our lives in a healthy way. And I think that became clear to us maybe about 2 years ago, but we did not have the framework around trying to reestablish what we had realized was not working for us anymore. So that was like a frustrating period. But, just really being transparent with each other and open about the need for change and the willingness for change, I believe that we both have come to a place of now discovering change and the change that we need in our life, which signaled us to go to the couples escape. And when I tell you all, it was just everything that we needed to give us the tools Because it's one thing to deconstruct, but it's another thing to reconstruct. Deconstructing is tearing down. And I think that we did a great job of coming to the realization that some of his ideologies that he learned when he was growing up and some of the ideologies that I learned when I was growing up did not work for us, right? And so we tore them down. But it was time for us to rebuild a solid foundation based off of our beliefs. And I think that was hard because we had never been challenged in that way before. But this weekend we were. And I just want to drop a few things that really settled in our spirits and some things that we are working on. And if you are trying to get married, are married, seriously dating, I think that this will help you too to become, a better version of that part of you. One thing that we started out learning about was relationship goals. Like we've all heard that, right? But what does that mean and what does that look like? And one main thing that James and I really held on to was the mission statement. What is the mission for your marriage? Because in order for there to be submission, you have to know the mission, because submission means getting under the mission. And so what is the mission that you have for your marriage? And if the wife is better at coming up with the mission, that does not mean that the husband is the lesser party in that particular regard. What it means is that the husband respects the wife in knowing how to do that, and then they submit that mission to each other, and then they walk up under that. And vice versa, if the husband can come up with the mission, that's great. Whoever, it doesn't matter who comes up with the mission, just as long as there is a mission for the family and for the marriage. And so James and I decided that we both were going to write some things down that were important for us. And then we're going to come together and make a mission based off of those things. But you don't have to do it that way. But I do believe in order for anything to take place, if you read anything, if you go anywhere, like I remember when I joined the military, that was the first thing they taught us was the mission, because there's no way for you to really walk anything out if you don't understand the mission. It's like instructions. It's like, what's my purpose here? What am I doing? And so if you can outline a purpose for your marriage, then you can begin to walk that out. And then the next thing that we talked about was communication. Now, communication for me was and has been very hard. I either go off on somebody, or I shut down and I go in my corner. And I realized that both those ways are not helpful or effective in the marriage. So I learned about the SBI method. And so what that means is S is the setting, meaning that when it's time for you and your spouse to talk, you want to tell yourself a story and say, like, in my head, remember when we were here, set the setting. We were in the kitchen. We were in the grocery store. We were in the restaurant. Do you remember when? The B is the behavior. And you said this or you did this, reminding them of the behavior that took place in that setting. And the last one is the impact. It made me feel sad or uncomfortable or irritated. But at no point are you just throwing all the blame on your spouse. And you have to allow them time to process that. And the receiver has then a time to ask questions for understanding, apologize, forgiveness has to take place, and then you can do a work on a path moving forward. And so that is how James and I have decided that we will communicate with each other from this point forward. We actually had a chance to practice some of it, and it worked. It was very effective at making sure that we got our points across and that we understood each other. And I definitely felt more seen, more heard. And I'm sure James did as well. And then the last thing that we learned was about intimacy. So a lot of people define intimacy very differently, but I believe there are 3 keys to having intimacy with your partner, with yourself, in relationships, all of that. And the first one is a belief. Establish a belief system that you want to follow. That belief system can be whatever you decide, but just make sure that you truly have done your research and you've studied it. Like James and I, we have decided to believe in God. And so now there's a blueprint in believing in God, and that is the Bible. And when you actually take a moment to read the Bible, you can see that there are so many nuggets in there about life, about marriage, about closeness and love and grace and mercy and all of those things. And it's all relational. And finally, you want to work on the behavior or acting it out. So whatever you discuss in the blueprint or find in your blueprint, you begin to act that behavior out. How does the Bible tell you to be intimate with one another? How does the Bible reflect closeness and grace and mercy and submission and things of that nature? When you get to that place, you can begin to operate that mission out based off of your belief system. And so those are just a few nuggets that I wanted to drop and share with you all in order for you to build a stronger marriage, whether you're tearing it down and building it back up, starting from the beginning. It does not matter. I do believe that these are key elements that you will need in order to be successful in your marriage and even in relationships. So I hope I was able to help you to develop a system that will be successful and help you move forward in a positive way. Love y'all. Peace.